कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशो नंदन ब्रज जन नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा कालचंजी राधा कालचंजी राधे। जय राधा गोविंद राधा गोविंद राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जयो बलदेवा जयो सुभद्रा। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर। जयो जयो प्रभुपाद, 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 जयो जयो प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद। जयो जयो गुरुदेव, 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 जयो जयो गुरुदेव। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। Thank you, Govind. That's too big for me. Thank you, and sorry for forgetting that line. This is where I am. Just a week's break and I forget. So please listen from there, Know me about my knowledge and then listen from there. So today we read on Mondays Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translated by our dear Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Praying at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, our dear Srila Prabhupada, and all the Guru Vargas, may I speak few words in the glorification of our dear Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Sri Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas and for my very own purification. Vancha kalpatarubhesya kripa sindhu bevacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo nama mukum karoti vachalam pangum langayati giram yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum tina taranam. Kathanchana smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhaved brishmite vipiritam syat Shri Chaitanya namamitam. Things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu I offer my respectful obeisances. That's Adi 14:1. That's what I read. That's, yeah. Madhya 7, verse I'm anyway slow. I'm like that. Yeah, it's Madhya 7. I believe previously they have done 72, but I will still do because I did not get the update on what verse we are on, so we'll repeat, if that's okay. 72. Madhya 7:72. Yeah. I'll do the Mangala Charan for Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. I'll sing two more times because you got the Mridanga Prabhu. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Bhakta Brinda. Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Brinda. So Madhya 7:72. Usually we don't repeat, but if you feel inspired to read it, tell me, I'll slow down and I'll read with you. This is little story back, so this is, the chapter's name is The Lord's Store of South India. So this is like, Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself. He is just liberated Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from Mayavad to Bhakti, from impersonalism to personalism. And now it's time for him to go to South India. And there are so many devotees who wanted to accompany Lord. Of course, everybody wants to accompany Lord. We see when Lord was leaving Hastinapur, everybody wanted, the Pandavas came all the way, and then, at one point of time, Lord said, now you can go back, and they went back, and Lord proceeded. Similarly, Nityananda Prabhu and everybody wanted to come along with Lord, and then Lord started criticizing them. And Prabhupada writes, these are not exactly criticism, these are like their glories, but put in a way so that, they are discouraged not to come along with Lord. And then he is proceeding, where Nityananda says, okay, you have to take somebody with you. And they give a brahmana to him. And then he comes to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house to take permission, because he was an elderly personality. And he transformed so beautifully that pleased Lord's heart so much. So he came to take permission. And he says, at least stay for some days. So Lord stayed for a few days, I believe 5 days. And then he was about to leave. When he left, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the host, he fainted. But Lord, like if somebody faints in front of us, what we will do? We'll wait, we will take care, we will do something. Lord did not care. He just moved on. So Prabhupada is writing, and then 1 or 2 verses are regarding this 72, etc. That, it's very difficult to understand. So we'll read the verse. This is where we are. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is fainted, and Lord is about to leave, and he left actually. It's a Bengali, I will read. If you feel like reciting, let me know. Maha Mahanubhaver chitte Shabhavoi hoya Pushpa Shama Kol Kathi Bhajendra Moya. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. This is the nature of the mind of an uncommon personality. Sometimes it is soft like a flower, but sometimes it is as hard as a thunderbolt. So he's saying the mind of an uncommon personality like Mahaprabhu himself, it's very unpredictable, right? The softness of a flower and the hardness of a thunderbolt are reconciled in the behavior of a great personality. The following quotation from Uttara Ramacharita 2.7 explains this behavior. One may also consult the Madhya Leela, 3rd chapter, verse 212. So 212 of Madhya, 3rd chapter, is a chapter where when Lord came to Advaita Acharya's house and everybody gathered there, including Mother Sachi, and wonderful pastime there, but this chapter is dealing with that, Madhya 3. And this particular verse, 212 was saying when Lord was leaving the house of Advaita Acharya, everybody was crying because he's been there for so long, they're his Lord. And everybody was so sad, everybody was crying, the mother was there, but he just walked away. And the same thing is happening there, and Mahaprabhu did not stop. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes there that sometimes you have to be materially callous, that's the word he uses, callous, or oblivious to the material things, to pursue something spiritual, like the Krishna conscious movement. He is giving an example that Krishna conscious movement, for the benefit of others, we have so many social responsibilities, to look at it materially. We have to let it go. Sometimes it's our parents. Is it not coming through? I keep playing with it so it gets loose. It's never perfect for me. Anyway. So with so many material things, so many, it's very social behavior, right? Somebody is fainting who saved you. If you know the story, when Sarvabhauma saw Mahaprabhu fainted in the Jagannath Puri temple, he's the one who rescued his life because everybody else thought he left his body. So it's obvious that he will show him this, attitude, etiquette, normal human etiquette, that somebody did so much for me and now that person is fainting here, I need to stop. But what Prabhupada writes in Madhya 3.212, that great personalities, they have to pursue. He has to, take this movement ahead. If he keeps stepping behind for every emotion, how will this movement go ahead? And as we know, Mahaprabhu had to wrap up his pastime by 48. So with all these things, he will never be able to do what he came here. And we see sometimes with Srila Prabhupada also these pastimes happen. Sometimes he is like a soft flower and sometimes he is a thunderbolt. But there was a pastime, I don't remember it, of course I did not prepare for the class, but there was a pastime when, Prabhupada got really mad at his disciples because they were not preparing for his the Vyasa Puja Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he was so mad because he was saying fruits for the yajna, they cut the fruits and gave. And then he says pushpanna rice, and they got something they were doing, all messing up, And he got so frustrated, he left, and that this is in Prabhupada memories. And this devotee also came along, and then after some time he observed Prabhupada, and he saw Prabhupada was so quiet. So it's like that, it's in the deep, their conscience is not agitated. It's just that, to teach his disciple, he used to do all these things. So that's where Mahaprabhu now moved. So I gave a little bit about the Madhya 3.212. Next verse. Brajradapi kathorani mriduni kushumad api lokattaranam chetamsi konu vigyatum ishvara. Translation: the hearts of those who are above common behavior are sometimes harder than a thunderbolt and sometimes softer than a flower. How can one accommodate such contradiction in great personalities? So basically what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is doing is he is first giving his Bengali and then he is giving a Sanskrit version of the same one that we did. So 72 and 73 Three are similar verse or the same verse, it's just a different language. 74. Nityananda Prabhu Bhattacharya re uthaila taro loka sange tare taro loka sango tare ghore pathaila. Translation: Lord Nityananda Prabhu raised Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and with the help of his men saw him to his home. So Nityananda Prabhu picked him up because he was fainted there, right? So Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and sent him home with some of the people, some of the devotees. So see, even if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wasn't there, Nityananda Prabhu was there. So it's not that he was left alone on the road and nobody to take care. It is not hard-heartedness. I remember first time when I went to Calcutta. I am from Assam, so first time when I went to Calcutta, there was one accident. The person was lying dead on the road and the head was open and everything was out. And people were just seeing. That time there was not so much of cell phone, I'm sure, otherwise people would have taken selfie. But nobody was taking care of this person or whatever it is to help. They were busy looking at it. That's hard-heartedness. And I'm like, and I felt I will never come back to Calcutta. Because Assam culture it's a small place, people are caring and things like that. But because Calcutta is a huge city. It's a huge place. And nobody was caring. There was so many, hundreds of people. They were standing around the dead body and nobody was taking care. And I felt people are so hard-hearted here. They don't care that a person is dead. But this is not the same thing with the Lord. He didn't leave him on the way. He fainted and he knew, and he's also, we should remember, he is the Paramatma. He knows that. He's there in the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's heart. He is there in, everybody else who were there. So he knew that he will be taken care. He can inspire others. You take care of this person, I need to go. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are non-different. Both of them are the personality of, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one took care or the other, it's the same. So Nityananda Prabhu took care. Bhakta gane shigra ashi loila prabhura satha Vastra prasada loya tobe aila gopinatha. Immediately all the devotees came and partook of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's company. Afterwards, Gopinath Acharya came with the garments and prasadam. So Mahaprabhu continued. So two scenes. Here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fainted. So Mahaprabhu moved. Nityananda Prabhu took care of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and now all the devotees are joining Mahaprabhu. Where is Mahaprabhu going? We'll see. Shaba sange Prabhu tabe alarnatha aila namaskar kori tare bohu stuti koila. All the devotees followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a place known as Alarnath. There they all offered respects and various prayers. Now Alarnath temple is also like Jagannath Puri. Many of us cannot enter there. But Mahaprabhu is so merciful. Right behind Alarnath temple, even if you may not go and you may not be able to go and see Alarnath, right behind the temple there is a stone where Mahaprabhu paid obeisances and the stone melted. And if you see the picture, if I would have had a screen, I would have shown you his forehead, his knees, his arms, everything is imprinted there because it melted as soon as, with Mahaprabhu's deep, deep ecstasy, he paid obeisances, it melted, that stone is there and everybody can see that, take a darshan of it. And also Mahaprabhu's Shadbhuj avatar is there, so that also you can see. So they were in Alarnath, and what they did in Alarnath. Prema boshe nitya gito koilo kothokon dekhite aila tahash boishe joto jon. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted for some time. Indeed, all the neighbors came to see him. It's a small place. It's like 30-40 minutes drive from Jagannath Puri by auto. চৌদিকেতে সব লোক বলে হরি হরি প্রেমবেশে মধ্য নৃত্য করে গৌরাহরি. All around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is also known as Gaurahari, people began to shout the holy name of Hari. Lord Chaitanya, immersed in his usual ecstasy of love, danced in midst of them. Kanchana Shadrisha Deho Oruna Bashana Pulokanto Kampo Shweda Tahate Bhushana. The body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was naturally very beautiful. It was like molten gold, dressed in saffron cloth. Indeed, he was most beautiful for being ornamented with the ecstatic symptoms which caused his bodily hair to stand on end, tears to swell up in his eyes and his bodies to tremble and perspire all over. So these are the symptoms of prema, sweating and trembling, crying, laughing, everything at the same time. It looks like a madman if somebody doesn't understand. That's a sign of prema. And Prabhupada says, Prabhupada's time, somebody was doing this, and Prabhupada said, bring a stick. Beat him. If he still continues, then it is real prema, otherwise he will run away, and the person ran away. So that's what, it can be so easy. It can be sahajiya, Prabhupada gave us the term. Sahajiya, it's like, sahaj means easy, and sahajiya means who takes it easy. Like no four regulative principles, no chanting, just emotion for Krishna. And so it's called sahajiya. It's like, you just do it. And Prabhupada says we have to be careful. If somebody shows signs of such things, we see like what wonderful mood Prabhupada, shows us. I mean, of course, through Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita too, but Chaitanya Charitamrita is amazing. Previous few chapters when Gopinath Acharya was saying that Mahaprabhu is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's disciples were asking where in the Shastra it's written that way. Instead of criticizing them, Prabhupada writes that in the purport, this is how you should ask. This is the way. We should not follow anybody blindly. You should always ask. It's wonderful to ask questions like that. Of course, we have to be humble and submissive with a service attitude, with a humble attitude we should ask, not in a challenging mood. But at the same time, this is so much, we have this liberation to, we have this liberty, we have this liberty to ask question, if doubt arises. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Supreme Personality, the supremacy was established by Gopinath Acharya, by giving the reference to but Prabhupada's main thing is Prabhupada's mood that we should ask question is so wonderful, and he does not change it from, context to context. It's remained throughout, whether you hear him in his lectures, whether you hear Srila Prabhupada's memories, following Srila Prabhupada's book, it remains the same like the Bhagavad Gita. It never changed. Krishna's instruction never changed according to time, place, circumstance. It remained his instruction, and it will remain his instructions. Nothing changed. Similarly, Prabhupada's word, whatever he says Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should only worship him. It never changes. And so are other principles like this one, দেখিয়া লোকেরা মন হইল চমৎকার যত লোক আইসে কেহ নাহি যায় ঘরা. Everyone present was astonished to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dancing in his bodily transformation. Whoever came did not want to return home. So everybody came there to see. It's a small place, Alarnath, and everybody came there to see Mahaprabhu, and seeing him, they felt so happy they didn't want to go back home. They wanted to just be there. Keho nache keho gaye Shri Krishna Gopal premete bhashilo loke stri briddha abal. Translation: everyone, including children, old men and women, began to dance and to chant the holy names of Shri Krishna and Gopal. In this way, they all floated in the ocean of love of Godhead. দেখি নিত্যানন্দ প্রভু কহে ভক্তগণে এই রূপে নৃত্য আগে হবে গ্রামে গ্রামে. Very, very, very important verse for us. And just a disclaimer, I should have given it before. I also read from the Bengali text, so when you're following in the English, it may not match as it is. So, just so you know. So the verse, Nityananda Prabhu is speaking now. Upon seeing the chanting and dancing of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda predicted that later there would be dancing and chanting in every village. This is Nityananda Prabhu's prediction. Prabhupada writes, I wanted it to be long purport, but Prabhupada keeps it short, so we'll go ahead with it. This prediction of Sri Nityananda Prabhu's is applicable not only in India, but also all over the world. This is now happening by His grace. The members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness are now traveling from one village to another in the Western countries and are even carrying the deity with them. These devotees distribute various literatures all over the world. We hope that these devotees who are preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will very seriously follow strictly in his footsteps. If they follow the rules and regulations and chant 16 rounds daily, their endeavor to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will certainly be successful. There's so much nectar. I'm capable of only so much, so I can only talk about. So few things that, one, those who follow the path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we have seen and will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how strict he was. You know, though we speak about dancing, feasting, you know, happy go, merry or jolly, this, that, but we see when Mahaprabhu's, he was very strict. There is a verse which says that Chaitanya Bhaktaganar Vairagya Priya, means whoever are the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vairagya Priya. Vairagya means detachment. Priya means they like detachment. So whoever are, you know, following the footstep of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, detachment is their thing. So, yeah, dancing, feasting, everything. Going back to Godhead till here, you know, having prasadam till here. But then this confuses me because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, now on he will show even more what detachment is, because that's why he took sannyas. And because he realized just dancing was not enough, because people needed more to follow him. And Prabhupada writes that those who will follow in the footstep of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be able to preach successfully. Prabhupada also mentions that these preachers have to strictly follow the rules and regulations, our 4 rules and regulations, along with our 16 rounds of chanting. And only then only we will become successful in the preaching of this Krishna consciousness movement. And Prabhupada, he mentions that very seriously follow strictly. So he used very seriously, strictly. Following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we can preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then only it will become successful. I remember one, where I don't remember the verse, but when Sanatan Goswami was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with Haridas Thakur. That time, Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, of course he desired to be around Lord Chaitanya, but he was a Muslim. So he couldn't be too close around the temple, because as Jagannath Puri temple has restrictions for who comes inside the temple. So he was in a place called Siddhabakul. He was in a place called Siddhabakul. If you see the tree, it's completely curved. And there's a story behind that. In future maybe we'll talk about Siddhabakul. So because Haridas Thakur would sit and chant in the scorching sun, and Mahaprabhu felt sad for him. So one day when he had the datun is it's a stick. It's either from the neem or guava. Instead of toothbrush, you use that. You chew the stick a little bit and then you use it as a brush. So Mahaprabhu had this as a prasadi or a prasadam from Lord Jagannath. And he had that in his hand. And when he saw Haridas Thakur chanting in this heat, he just, put that in. And a big tree came off. This tree's name is Bakul. And the tree was there. Immediately it came off. And then he used to chant there. Haridas Thakur used to chant there. And Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, everybody came there and they were with him. And Sanatan Goswami would say, praise Haridas Thakur, saying that your achar and your prachar, both are wonderful. Achar is your etiquette, your behavior, your Vaishnava behavior. And your prachar means your preaching. So your chanting, your sadhana and your prachar or your, preaching this cult, both are wonderful, both are exemplary. Means he used to strictly, of course, what to speak about Haridas Thakur's chanting. His etiquette, his behavior, he did not think, oh, I chant so many rounds, lakhs of rounds. I can go to Jagannath and, boss around and things like that. I am such a elevated soul who chants so many rounds. Of course, you cannot chant so many rounds unless you're really, really... Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the name Nam Acharya. Acharya. But he was so humble. He did not break the Vaishnava etiquette. He did not go and challenge the Jagannath temple that why am I not supposed to enter the temple? He did not challenge. And that's the Vedic culture. We do not challenge. If they say, okay, you cannot do it, you cannot do it. We do not fight for it. Because the Vedic culture is, we understand that we are not this body, we are the soul. Whether we realize it all the time or not, but that's the whole. And that's why we do not fight over bodies. Like, I should do it, I should. Okay, if not in the temple, then I'll do it outside. The emotion, the love, the ecstasy, that nobody can check. That nobody can say that you are not a Hindu, you are not a Sanatan practitioner, you cannot have that much of ecstasy for the Lord. That nobody can check. And that has been shown to us by Haridas Thakur. That's a Vaishnava etiquette. He did not go and fight with anybody that, give me the right to enter the temple. Because that's just wasting time and energy. So he used to sit there and chant. And then Mahaprabhu will bring the prasadam from Jagannath Puri temple. So Sanatan Goswami, he would say that your achar and prachar are wonderful, and that's what Prabhupada is emphasizing, that if our practice, our devotional service, our chanting, our following regulative principles are strictly, we're adhering to it, then our preaching will be wonderful. অতি কাল হইল লোকা ছাড়িয়া না যায় তবে নিত্যানন্দা গোসাই সৃজালা উপায়. Seeing that it was already getting late, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, the spiritual master, invented a means to disperse the crowd. Spiritual master of all of us. That's what Prabhupada wrote. Nityananda Prabhu is the Guru Tattva. He is the Adi Guru. He is the main Guru for whom all the Guru Vargas are flowing from under his mercy. Madhyana karite gala prabhu ke loiya taha dekhilo loka aise chaudike dhaya. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch at noon, everyone came running around them. মধ্যাহ্ন করিয়া আইলা দেবতা মন্দিরে নিজ গুণ প্রবিশে কপট দিল বহি দ্বারে. After finishing their baths, they returned at noon to the temple. Admitting his own men, Sri Nityananda Prabhu closed the outside door. তবে গোপীনাথ দুই প্রভুরে ভিক্ষা করাইলা প্রভুর শেষে প্রসাদন সবে বাটি খাইলা. Gopinath Acharya then brought prasadam for the two lords to eat. Two lords, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And after they had eaten, the remnants of the food were distributed to all the devotees. শুনি শুনি লোক সব আসি বাহি দ্বারে হরি হরি বলি লোকে কোলাহল করে. Hearing about these, everyone there came to the outside door and began chanting the holy name, Hari Hari. Thus there was a tumultuous sound. তবে মহাপ্রভু দ্বারে করাইল মোচন আনন্দে আসিয়া লোকে পাইল দর্শন. After lunch, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made them open the door. In this way, everyone received his audience with great pleasure. If you go to Alarnath, Alarnath has wonderful prasadam. You have to pay little Lakshmi, but they provide you wonderful lunch prasadam, and it's very, very delicious prasadam you get there. এত মতে সন্ধ্যা পর্যন্ত লোকে আসে যায়, বৈষ্ণব হইল লোক সবে না নাচে গায়ে. The people came and went until evening, and all of them became Vaishnava devotees and began to chant and dance. So whatever they came as, they became Vaishnava devotees, seeing Mahaprabhu, of course. এই রূপে সেই ঠানি ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে সেই রাত্রি গাওয়াইলো কৃষ্ণ কথা রঙ্গে. So whole night he was there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then passed the night there and discussed the pastimes of Lord Krishna with his devotees with great pleasure. So whole night they danced, they sang, and they recited Mahaprabhu. He, recited the wonderful pastimes of Krishna, and that's how they passed their night. Prato kale snan kori করিলা গমন ভক্তগণে বিদায় দিলা করিয়া লিঙ্গনা. The next morning, after taking his bath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started on his South Indian tour. He bade farewell to the devotees by embracing them. So till now he was in Bhubaneswar, Orissa. Now he is going to South India. And so he hugged everybody, he embraced everybody and said bye to everyone. Okay, I'll go till 96. I'll read quickly through. মূর্জিত হইয়া সবে ভূমিতে পড়িলা, তা সব পানে প্রভু ফিরি না চাহিলা. Third time this is happening. Although they all fell to the ground unconscious, the Lord did not turn to see them but proceeded onward. So Advaita's house, Advaita Prabhu's house, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, now all the devotees, like everywhere Lord goes, they fall in love so much with him, and when he leaves, they fall unconscious, and Prabhu just walks away. বিচ্ছেদে ব্যাকুল প্রভু চলিলা দুঃখী হইয়া, পাছে কৃষ্ণ দাসে যায় জলপ্রাপ্ত লইয়া. In separation, the Lord became very much perturbed and walked on unhappily. His servant Krishnadas, who was carrying his water pot, followed behind. So it's not that Lord was happy leaving them and he was untouched and he didn't care, let them be. He felt very sad, but as it is for the movement, he had to walk on. So he just went, and Krishnadas, who was following him, the only servant who came with him, he was following with the water pot. Bhaktagano upobasi tahi তাহাই রইলা, আরো দিনে দুঃখী হইয়া নীলা চলে আইলা. All the devotees remained there and fasted, and the next day they all unhappily returned to Jagannath Puri. So they came back, but they were very unhappy. Matto Singho praye Prabhu korila gamana, prema beshe jaye kori nama sankirtana. Starts Mahaprabhu's, kirtan. Almost like a mad lion, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on his tour filled with ecstatic love and performing Sankirtana, chanting Krishna's name as follows. 96. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna He. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna He. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Raksha Mam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahi Mam. Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Raksha Mam. Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Pahi Mam. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting. Translation: the Lord chanted Krishna, 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 Krishna He. Krishna, 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 Krishna He. Krishna, 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 Raksha Mam. Krishna, 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 Pahi Mam. That is, O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. he also chanted Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav, Ram Raghav Raksha Mam, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav, Krishna Keshav Pahi Mam. That is, O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki. Jai. We have 3 minutes if you have any question. I have more, but Prasadam time is 8:30, so if any question. Forgive the mistakes that I have committed. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Any question? Yes. Yeah. Devotion. Yeah. I feel I've met some pure devotees in our lifetime. We met with Prabhupada, and also my spiritual master. But it's not so common to see pure devotees exhibit these symptoms. Yeah. I was just kind of wondering why that is. Like they're notated in the scriptures that these are examples of pure devotees, but we don't see it. Mm-hmm. It's something that maybe a pure devotee can control. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So once Srila Prabhupada's, this is very, very, very common pastimes, and it's there again, Prabhupada memories. I mean, many devotees narrated this pastime. Srila Prabhupada, often it happened when he would see Jai Radha Madhav or Parama Karuna. In Atlanta temple, when inauguration he sang, and then he went in ecstasy. Many a time it happened with Srila Prabhupada. And then the devotees present there, this is, you can follow, I don't remember which episode number, but heard it many times, that Prabhupada went in ecstasy, and it was like an awkward silence. Everybody could feel literally the spiritual world, and it was so silent, and Prabhupada was sobbing. And then Hamsaduta Prabhu picked up the mridanga, he started chanting, Hare Krishna, or he broke the silence. And then everybody said, why did you do it? Everybody was saying, and then then he asked Prabhupada, was it okay, because, we didn't know you were like that, we didn't know what to do, because they said whenever Prabhupada will cry, his tears will come out like a syringe. It was not regular tears, that's what many devotees would say. So that's not a common thing. But Prabhupada says, that's okay, I don't do it very often, do I? Like he doesn't exhibit his, And then this is again Prabhupada memories. If you read, if you hear Prabhupada memories, which mostly like Leela Amrit, Prabhupada was one day, this is by Sridham Prabhu, that he was saying that I went to Prabhupada's room and he was crying. And Prabhu was, serving him that time, Sridham Prabhu. He was crying, and I went after some time, he was still crying. And that time he noticed I was around, or sometimes I had to make him feel my presence. And then Prabhupada was saying that, look at my Guru Maharaj, he's so merciful. He's making me look at Krishna. And because Srila Prabhupada was looking outside the window, there was a field. He must be seeing Krishna. He must be seeing Krishna. And he was saying, he was not like budging, or he was not looking here and there. He was saying, my Guru Maharaj is making me see Krishna. So they do it. They do it, but they don't want to, because show it, then move. If teacher has a love for the students, but if all the time she is busy or he is busy showing love, when do they teach? They have only so much of time. So they have to do so much. If they are busy, as Mahaprabhu, right? If they are busy in showing emotion, and he doesn't, it's not that it makes them, like when Srila Prabhupada, went to India, the devotees over here, they were so new and they were so upset and they were sad. Prabhupada writes that you miss me, I miss you too. So whenever you pick your bead bag, and when you pick your beads and I pick my beads, we are connected through this transcendental sound. So we are connected always. It's not that they don't feel sad for us. It's not that they don't miss us. But if they're busy thinking of how is that disciple doing, how's that disciple doing, how will they preach? So they have to control I heard in Amarendra Prabhu's class that no devotee get an ecstasy. Krishna will not give you ecstasy that you cannot control. At least not in public. Because this is Krishna's instruction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to preach. If we get so overwhelmed with emotion, how do we preach? And then it is so difficult to tell people that for people in general, public, to understand what is sahaja and what is real ecstasy. So that's a thing in itself. Maybe Prabhu can enlighten better. You want to give this mic? You want to hold the mic? Prabhu, you want to give this mic? Does that work? Will it work or you give this? He's telling us.
It's wireless.
You want to come?
Okay. I can speak louder.
No, but then on mic everywhere. So you sit on Vyasa. Oh, no, sorry. No, not God.
Okay, so I was just saying, this was in Mumbai, in Juhu Temple. There was a big event. I think it was Silver Jubilee event, and many Prabhupada disciples had gathered there. So there was Brahmananda Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's disciples. So I happened to be his, I happened to be serving him, and he shared this. So he said, once he was his personal servant or something, he was serving Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was in kind of a raw, hut or something. So Prabhupada asked him to stay outside and not let anyone enter the hut. So he was guarding. Then after some time he heard Prabhupada talking to someone. So he was very curious to know, but he didn't dare to enter inside. So what he did was he took a peek, through the hut, and he saw Prabhupada shedding tears and talking, sort of talking to thin air. It was obvious that he was talking to Krishna. And he was exhibiting, those symptoms, ecstatic symptoms. And he waited for a short while, and then Prabhupada came out, and he acted normally, you see. So that's the point. So he's also an acharya, right? So being a pure devotee and always, having those personal exchanges, loving exchanges with the Supreme Lord, he has to teach us, right? Acharya means one who teaches by his own example. So I just mentioned, otherwise people would start taking and imitating, their spiritual masters. As I've seen, sometimes I also tend to do this. My spiritual master, how he dances, and we have that tendency, conditioning, right, to imitate, right? What is that Sanskrit term? Anukaran and Anushilan. Yeah, so we try to do Anukaran, right? So that was a thought.
Thank you. Should be here. I can repeat your question also if it is. It does not matter. I can move.
Hare Krishna. I would like to first respond to the question, and then I have another question. Okay. So, in response to the question about the symptoms of ecstasy, so I was thinking that, those 8 symptoms of the trembling, perspiring, tears from the eyes, those are all symptoms of ecstatic love. But in Nectar Devotion, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when Rupa Goswami lists the symptoms of a person who's actually on the platform of Bhava Bhakti, he gives a very different list. So this is in the very beginning of chapter 18, Nectar Devotion. I'll just read it quickly, it's a few items. So he says, these are the characteristics of a person who has actually developed his ecstatic love for Krishna. The characteristics are as follows. He's always anxious to utilize his time in devotional service of the Lord. He does not like to be idle. He wants service always, 24 hours a day, without deviation. He's always reserved and perseverant. He's always detached from all material attraction. He does not long for any material respect in return for his activities. He is always certain that Krishna will bestow his mercy upon him. He is always very eager to serve the Lord faithfully. He is very much attached to chanting the holy names of the Lord. He is always eager to describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And the last one, he is very pleased to live in a place where the Lord's pastimes are performed, like Mathura, Vrindavan, or Dwarka. So all of these symptoms, you can see they're reliable symptoms. They can't be faked. You can't fake engaging in the Lord's service 24/7. You can't fake, being attached to the holy names, because you will be chanting the holy names if you actually. So these are observable symptoms that can't be easily faked. So Rupa Goswami gives these as the way to really know someone who's on the platform of love of God, is this is what it looks like. The other things, they sometimes manifest, sometimes don't manifest, but they're not reliable indicators of a person's level of spiritual advancement, but these are. So that's, yeah. And then my question is that the last verse that you read said that when Lord Chaitanya did his Nam Sankirtan, this is what he would chant, Krishna, 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 that. So it specifically said that Lord Chaitanya would chant this mantra, he would chant sometimes just Hari Hari, but we don't see it specifically said that he's chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So why is that not there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Mataji, if I'm not wrong, your name is Prabhupada Priya, is it? Yes. So your name is the answer for us. Prabhupada gave us Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's the end of all the question. For us, of course, Mahaprabhu would have given it. Maybe here it is not there. We can all chant Krishna, 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 Krishna all the time. We were not restricted. But on our japa bead, we do chant Hare Krishna. Haridas Thakur it's mentioned. And Haridas Thakur was a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? But if you have a reference where you can, right now where we are, it's not mentioned. But yeah, for me actually everything ends the moment Srila Prabhupada gave us, because he didn't have, yeah, Prabhupada. Yeah, we are singing, like even Krishna Krishna, like Prabhupada's disciples were here, they would always sing this towards the Hare Krishna. But Prabhupada says, even, it's in a letter of Srila Prabhupada, that even Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda should not be sung more than 5 times. You can go and search it up, it's there in his letters. So anything apart from Hare Krishna, Prabhupada said. For us, see, of course Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we still need the commentary of Srila Prabhupada, because we cannot understand. Our parampara is Guru Parampara, and we understand everything through Guru. Our Guru told us, chant Hare Krishna. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, right? So this is... No, of course you don't doubt, you are an initiated... Yeah, but... Yeah, of course, but in this context it is not here, right? He was chanting Krishna Krishna. Like many, we would have seen so many. Srila Prabhupada, it's not that he sang so many bhajans. So we were allowed to sing different things, but as I was saying, that Prabhupada stopped somebody that don't go on singing Sri Krishna Chaitanya, come back to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because for our liberation, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is this. And with people like us, at least for me, I'm talking for a person like me, if I get too many mantras, my mind will deviate. It's so nice to sing Krishna Krishna, but sometimes Hare Krishna may not be so exciting, because as you said, the symptoms, attachment to chanting, I have no attachment to chanting Hare Krishna. But singing, it is nice. And one more point that you are making, no wasting time, avyartha kalatvam. It's one of the signs that I've been hearing a lot about it, that, that's a sign that are you advancing in not only whether we are getting prema, that's a way, at least for me, it's a way far, it's too far for me at least, but to check are we advancing or not. 4 years back or 2 years back, how I used to utilize my time versus how I utilize my time now. Whether I'm still wasting those many hours doing whatever is not Krishna conscious, am I still continuing? That itself, it's like, having attachment to stay in Krishna's place, wherever Krishna did the past times. Prabhupada says these temples are non-different than Vrindavan. So do I have attachment to serve? Am I still wasting time? Wasting time is a wonderful, check. Other things I may not realize, but whether I'm wasting time or not, whether I'm wasting, time in non-Krishna conscious things or not. How much time I'm giving there into the materialistic thing and how much in the spirit. Of course, on a pure platform, there is no difference. But for a sadhaka like me, that's a wonderful thing. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but This is my answer. I'm not sure of your question, but my answer is because our Acharya gave, even if it is not mentioned, but Prabhupada gave to. So that's how I take it. Like, Mahaprabhu, and of course Haridas Thakur was chanting, and everybody else was chanting. My guru chanting. My guru is chanting. That Prabhupada was chanting. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was chanting. Actually, on Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, if you see his personality, Mataji, you see how strict he looks, and he's supposed to be a manjari. So how he's supposed to act versus how he acted, he was so strict. So and that's how people took him very seriously. If he would have acted like a just imagine imagine Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur acting like a manjari on a material platform. How it would be? We would have had no Siddhanta at all. It will be so, easy. We wouldn't have Srila Prabhupada. So, you see what happens if they act in a... Yes. Yes. You have a question? Yeah. So, does it make sense? Yeah, you teach Rasheshwari, suppose maths, and when you're teaching her maths, if you still keep loving her, showing affection, etc., etc., she will not learn it. But she'll be busy cuddling you and you cuddling. The maths test will go for a toss. Similarly, if the acharyas, the guru and the teacher is always soft on us, oh, you're feeling bad, I feel sad for you. If we are always doing all this, when do we learn and go ahead? And we are supposed to learn from him and also teach ahead. Our job is much more serious, right? We have to learn and then first learn and practice and then preach. So, yeah, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, so the Mahamantra mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So it is mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned it's recorded in Chaitanya Bhagavad, and the verse number is 14.145-146. He mentions Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Ye Shloka Nama Bali Raye, Mahamantra Sola Nama Bhakti Sakara E Tantra.
Which khanda, Prabhu? You tell.
It's from Chaitanya
Bhagavat, which khanda?
Adi Leela.
Adi khanda.
14.145.
Okay.
This consists of 16 names of Supreme Lord with 32 syllables. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Chaitanya Prabhu did mention the mantra. So,
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, that's a wonderful
yeah, Adi Leela in Chaitanya Bhagavad.
Chaitanya Bhagavat. Adi khanda it is. That's not Leela. Chaitanya Charitamrita is Leela. That's khanda. Khanda means a section. That's why Vrindavan Das Thakur. So, yeah. That's Satyaki. That's Satyaki, right? That's Satyaki. Was checking his tears off. Yeah. For your service. Yeah, that's what I said. We have a better, serious thing to do. Go ahead and... Krishna gave us the job to preach. Jahari Prabhu, you had a question? We need to wrap. The Chaitanya Bhagavat? Okay, the first question was actually, Mataji had asked the question that, she says that Srila Prabhupada, her Guru Maharaj, she doesn't hear or see or witness so much of ecstasy in public. So that was the whole discussion about, that was the question. Did I paraphrase your question okay?
Well, yeah, I was just giving an example of I know pure devotee.
Yeah. So Mataji knows pure devotees. But the Ashtavikars, what is it called? The symptoms of love, prema, it's not often visible, and why so? So we'll pause. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Hare Krishna.